Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday's ESPN FC Live. Janusz Michaliik alongside myself, Mark Donaldson. Champions League on the menu for today's Wednesday lunchtime football chat. We're going to start, Janusz, where else? North London. Reverberations still happening, both in Madrid, how did that happen? And in North London, how did that happen? Janusz, how did that happen?
Well, a combination of Arsenal playing nearly a perfect game. Something that I think you and I, have been saying about injuries. They happen to everybody, but obviously Saka coming back immediately, scoring in the Premier League, right? And now making a massive difference, not just for Arsenal, not just for himself, but the way Martin Odegaard has played in that game. We all know the chemistry they've had early in the season. And as I think told you last time we chatted, if it wasn't for the key injuries to those key players, I think Arsenal would have been right now probably top of the table in the Premier League. It does happen to everybody, but in a one-off game like this, Arsenal showed the quality that we've all seen that they've had, that we've all thought that they were perhaps a team to challenge for Premier League title. And now doing a great job against Real Madrid team that simply didn't show up. They had absolutely nothing.
So let's go back to kind of 2016-17 season and the 2018-19 season. The reason I'm illustrating this tie is at the halfway point. It's basically half-time. Now, PSG beat Barcelona by 4-0 at home. Yeah, they lost the second leg by 6-1. And then in May 2019, Liverpool lost 3-0 at Barcelona and won the second leg 4-0. I did a radio hit last night and I said, this is pretty close to being over, but it's not over just yet, this tie. And I explained why with what I've just said to you. A couple of Arsenal fans will say, it's over, mate. It's gone. Is this tie over?
No, absolutely not. I mean, Real Madrid has shown over the course of last few years that not only historically are they the best team in the world in this competition, they feel like they own it. They feel that Santiago Bernabeu has something special, and it does, of course. I think, on one hand, we don't have to look far, which is a plus and a minus, strength and weakness of Real Madrid, because we shouldn't be surprised because we've seen from Real Madrid that this is not the same team. We'll probably come back to that and maybe Carlo Ancelotti. And we've seen it this season. I mean, this has been coming. But on the other hand, we saw it against Real Sociedad right in Copa del Rey. I mean, they were down 3-1 and they've come back. So look, if things go their way and Real Madrid goes with the crowd at the Bernabeu and the mystical plays that you'd say that player don't think about, but I mean they've earned that. And believe you me, just as we're talking about that, in the back of the heads of Arsenal, I'm sure it's the fact that if they concede early and Bernabeu gets behind Real Madrid, I can very much see Real Madrid doing the remontada once again.
However, and let's look at it from a positive perspective. From Arsenal, of course, there are many positives from last night. They're taking a 3-0 lead to the Estadio Bernabeu. And they're up against a Real Madrid side that has conceded at least one goal in its last 9 games. So therefore, how do you approach this second leg if you're Mikel Arteta?
Well, I mean, you have to play, right? I mean, again, you cannot in any way allow Real Madrid to do what I just said, right? This is going to be the Bernabeu defense and Real Madrid going after Arsenal. There's going to be high press. There's not going to be sitting back like they did, low block, looking to counter, which Real Madrid has done very, very often, even at their best when they're away from home, because they're that good and they have the players to play on the break or in transition, right? That's not going to happen. This is going to be Real Madrid all over Arsenal, and Arsenal is going to have to make sure that they answer. And the answer to that will be a good possession, good transition themselves as well, and showing that they're there for the fight, right? That they're not just going to sit back and allow Real Madrid to jump on them. So look, this is Arsenal's DNA. I don't think that this is going to be an Arsenal team, that's going to go out there and from the get-go be all over Real Madrid. But I think they can't lose their DNA. This is all they know, and I suspect that Arsenal is going to have their chances. They've shown already, and I can only imagine the confidence they have. They're going to have to play. They're going to have to play football. If they don't, they will be out of this tie for sure. Real Madrid are look, Vinny Jr., Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham, and the rest. are not going to have a second bad day like this. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but this is not going to be the Real Madrid we saw, because it was disastrous. There wasn't one player that played well.
I thought Jude Bellingham afterwards was very honest. I thought his interview was excellent. Said 3, it could have been more. We just didn't show up. But then he was asked, is the tie over? And he said, nothing's over, regardless of the first leg score when we go back home, because strange things can happen. How strong is the referee going to have to be from an Arsenal perspective? Because Real Madrid have had complaints quite a lot this season about referees in La Liga.
Yeah, I mean,
that'll be an interesting one.
Of course, I mean, it's always an issue, right? I mean, there wasn't much controversy, if anything at all, really, in this first leg, right? In the second leg, when the situation is like this, there's going to be pressure at the Bernabeu and Real Madrid for sure. So, of course, it's going to have to be a good referee. And as always, that could be the difference, right? It could be the difference for Arsenal or for Real Madrid. But yeah, strong. I don't have anything that I can say, more than that, because, what are you going to do? I think this is going to be a situation where, if it's one of those where you got to let players play a little bit, right? And assess the situation. And if you see that, one team or the other is trying to force something special, you're going to have to cut it out early.
When we look at the tie as a whole, Arsenal now leading by 3-0. I've mentioned the comebacks. Is this the best competition in world football domestically, because we get games like this and we can get comebacks, which is doable for Real Madrid because we've seen it from PSG and we've seen it from Liverpool? Is this a continuation of what we've seen from this newly kind of renovated competition with the extra group games? Has UEFA, who get a lot of stick for a lot of things, done a good job with the competition this season, changing it?
Well, yeah, I mean, is this the best competition in the club football? Yeah, it's the only one. We'll see what the FIFA Club World Cup will bring eventually. That's going to take some time. I think we all liked it, the old way. And now I think that UEFA has done a pretty good job. I think the group stage was very good. It was very unpredictable. But at the end of the day, look who's here. Exactly what we said. We can talk about Brest and all the other smaller teams that did a great job, and that's superb. But in the end, I think you're going to see the elite teams over and over again, no matter what UEFA does. And so it's a great competition. Of course, you have teams left. My goodness, Inter against Bayern was great in a different way. I'm sure today Barcelona and, look at Villa, right? I mean, who would have thought they're going to be there? So it's been superb, and it's going to continue to be superb, especially in the end, because these games are a lot at stake, not just the trophies, but a lot of money at stake as well.
Just looking at Real Madrid's last 3 games at home in the Champions League. The last 2, they've scored the opening goal in the 4th minute. The time before that was the 23rd. So it's everybody, isn't it? It's the fans. It's the whole experience of the Bernabeu. That's going to be the difficulty for Arsenal, because that Real Madrid are going to come flying out the traps. And if they do get an early goal, what would your message be to Arsenal?
Hold on to your hat. It's as simple as that. I think the momentum there is second to none. I mean, we've seen it over and over and over again. And even though they have to answer, I think if it's one of those where it's an early goal, and I think just Real is going to be constantly putting pressure. And look, I mean, they opened themselves up, as you've mentioned. Defensively, there are a lot of issues at Real Madrid. We're all saying how bad they are. I think, Carlo Ancelotti will pay the price for that, regardless what he does. But the one thing that we have to remember about Real Madrid, there's a lot of negatives. Certainly, it's not a great season, but here's Real Madrid, not at their best, nowhere near the best team, and they still have a chance in La Liga. They're in the final of Copa del Rey, and they're going to have a say for sure against Arsenal here. But so look, a lot at stake for both, because for Arsenal, chances are, that's the only trophy that they can claim, and this is just Real Madrid. They're still, even if they get past them, there's going to be some great teams coming their way. So look, 3-0 should be enough. I mean, if Arsenal go out, they only have themselves to blame, and there'll be no excuses whatsoever. Just as much as I say Real Madrid and Bernabeu plays a part, I mean, how much more can you ask for when you play Real Madrid, right? When you spotted 3 goals like that and you were clearly the better team, Arsenal absolutely has to get through it, right? Otherwise, it's a disaster. And it's a, I don't want to say it's a disaster of the season, but you're going to have to look at that and you say, wow, there were some good moments if you're Arsenal, but 0 trophies in a season where we thought they're going to try, they're going to be the champions maybe, or at least challenge Manchester City. With City out, it will be a very, very long off season for Arsenal if they go out, don't you think?
Well, who goes through this time? What's your thoughts?
My head tells me Arsenal because that's just too much, but I'm not willing to say that just yet. There's a big part of me that thinks that Real Madrid can do it, but Arsenal absolutely needs to win that. Disaster if they go out.